everybody and welcome to today's video. My name is Rebecca Ravenbird and today I am in real life, so you can see my hand, and I'm going to be showing you my Star Stable notebook. Before I even open this, I do want to explain why do I have a Star Stable notebook? Well, as a club owner, I personally need to write things down for my club, so administrative tasks, calendars, anything like that. I also put some video prepping notes in here, so anytime I prepare for a YouTube video, I put some notes in here. And then I also take notes about my club members and their progress in dressage. So again, this is mostly a sort of preparation and planning notebook for my club. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so I did put in this front pocket here on the front cover, and I took out some of these. So these are routine. This is my routine for the Luring Lovers. Here's how I write out my routines, basically. I fold a piece of paper in half, fold it in half again, and then I fold it into pretty much 8, right? So I fold it that way, and then I fold it that way. Okay, and these lines represent the midlines of the arena. One of these squares is the arena, basically. And so I have 4 pages here, so a couple of moves here on each page. And I have a description of the moves. So here's some more, I believe. Yes. And so we have a heart move in our show. And here's how we mapped it out. So using the metered lines, and I will make a tutorial on metered lines. But yeah, here's how we mapped it out. And it looks cool. It looks like math. I don't like math, but in Star Stable, it looks cool. So in my club, we use this thing called drill. And drill is a very specific way of writing out the different moves. So one page right here is a group of moves. Okay, so these are the different sets that we have, and that's how we write it out. Now we use both this and these picture chart things. This method is derived from marching band because I was in marching band, and I think it's a really organized way of writing down the different moves. So these are notes from my intermediate exit test. And so I keep this in here just so I have a record of when these 2 members took that test and whether or not they passed. So for our club, what we do, sorry I hit my camera, what we do is 2 types of tests. We do entrance tests and exit tests. So an entrance test is like if you're brand new to the club and you say you're an intermediate student, I will give you an intermediate test. I will give you one of these. And, well no, sorry, this is the exit test, so that doesn't matter. I will give you the entrance test, basically to place you in intermediate or beginner. I'm planning on changing that system a little bit because we have so many different skills at the beginner level for Emerald Hunters that I may just automatically place everyone in our beginner level. Here is one of those said skills. So we have something called legal dies. Okay, and so this is a diagram I made for my club. Here's a legal die, here's an illegal die, and that's something you need to know at the beginner level. So the first kind of page I want to show you, I'm not going to flip through my entire thing, I'm going to show you some different types of pages that I have in here, but the first is anytime I have a group practice, I always make a lesson plan like this. So I track the attendance, and then I track down what we are going to do and what we actually did. So again, a lesson plan, keep in mind a lesson plan, emphasis on the word plan, is what you intend to do. Whether that actually happens is what you also write down. So sometimes your lesson plan may go slower than you predicted. So for example, like if your members are just not understanding a move and you need to spend more time on it, that means you need to spend more time on that move and not worry about the move that comes after it. So you want to make sure that the club or your members master that first move before you move on to the next one. And so if that means taking more time to work on that move and spend less time on that move, that's what you have to keep in mind for your lesson plan. So I write down like what they're gonna do next time. So like here's like what we did and what actually happened during the lesson, and then here's what I plan for next time, so that when I write my next lesson plan, I can have this as a reference. I can just flip back to it and look at that. So the next type of page that I have is anytime we have a club meeting, I will always take notes. I always write down what time the meeting starts and about how long the meeting lasts. And then I also have these notes here because, well, obviously I have some attendance here as well. For those club members who do not show up to the meeting, they are required to read the meeting notes afterwards on our club website. So they have to read the document that talks about all of these different changes. Because my rule is if they don't come to a meeting, then I assume if we make any changes that they automatically agree with those changes. So they need to be present in order to participate and help the club grow and make changes and make decisions. So if they're not there, they need to read these notes. So that's why I take notes. It's so that I can make a set of meeting notes for those club members who do not come. So then I have a to-do list here. I always write down my tasks and to-do lists in these notebooks as well. So on this page here, this is how I used to write out my weekly schedules. I used to just write them down in a list like this, but I'm going to show you later on how the calendar has changed. So the next kind of notes that I take are anytime I go to a lesson or I'm learning new things about dressage, or in this case Western drill, I will take notes on it. So I always have a diagram because I'm a visual learner, so I always create a diagram, and then I always write down a description of the move. And so I kind of try to use my own words so that using my own words will help me understand it better than if I just copy a definition. So, let's see, I also have the name of the move, so we have box cross, columns, charo, chevron. So I believe this is from Starshine Drill. And let's see, yes, some more moves here. And so speaking of Starshine Drill, this is the first lesson I ever took from that server. Starshine Drill has their own Discord server, and I took a lesson from them on their beginner moves. And so anytime you go to a lesson, you take notes. That's just, like for my club, it's a requirement that you bring notes, it's a requirement that you write things down during a practice, and you're on the honor system, obviously, because I can't see you. As a club owner, it's also really important that you are continuously learning things as well. So the more things that you learn, the more things that you can offer to your club members. So hopefully at some point we will try Western drill, but for now I feel like I need to learn a little bit more. I need to practice a little bit more with drill on my own before I can start teaching it to my members. So like I mentioned earlier, this is how the calendar has changed for me. So this is how I format my calendars now. I have the pages, it's like folded in half and then it's sectioned off like this. So all of these sections here for each day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, any kind of notes that I may need. And I write down what we are doing that day. And so I have some check marks to say like, oh, I finished that, or we didn't cancel or whatever. So let's see, I also wrote down on the weekends I do lessons with my club and other people. I had a lot of lessons that day. Here's some more moves here. So as you can see, I'm taking a lot of notes. Anytime I'm learning anything new about dressage, write it down. That way I can add it to my club's dictionary and that we can get better and do more things with dressage. So another kind of set of notes that I take are anytime I'm doing a YouTube video, I plan out my video. So if you are planning on becoming a YouTuber, that's my biggest advice, is for you to write down your notes so that you're not improvising and that you're not having to go without a script. I'm not saying, write word for word your script. I'm just saying write a bullet point list of the topics you're going to talk about, the tasks or activities that you're going to do in your video, write it down. So that way you can stay on track, that way you can stay organized, that way you don't have to worry about doing multiple takes because you didn't like how it turned out. So when you have a list like this, you know exactly what's going to happen, and yeah, pretty much keeping organized throughout the entire video. So I actually have my notes for this particular video off to the side here. I'm like reading them. So the next set of notes is for my routine. So this is my routine for the luring lovers. This is the first time I drafted out this routine. Actually, no. My club members, because there's only 2 people allowed to be in the group, they sort of collaborated and came up with parts of the routine as well. And this is because I did have to take some time away from Star Stable, and I asked them to help me out with creating this routine. So they did that. And so that was a learning experience for all of us, and I wrote down what they had brainstormed. So the next set of notes is very similar to anytime I'm learning dressage moves. If I go to a clinic, I will also take notes on that as well. So this is the first time I had learned semi-realistic dressage, so I took a lot of notes on that. So the semi-realistic style of dressage, we don't use that in my club. We use slightly different systems. So again, these are some notes from that. And this is just like for future reference. If I ever decide that I want to incorporate or use some of the concepts from semi-realistic dressage in Star Stable for my club, I'll have this available so I can just reference it whenever I need to. Okay, so this next page is planning out a policy. So if you either leave the club or get kicked out of the club, the original policy was that you would only be allowed back in the club 2 more times, and I've learned that it just does not work. So I'm gonna change the system. What it used to be was I wrote down every single person's name who had ever been in the club, and I would write down a tally if they either left or got kicked from the club. And so if they got 2 tallies, that means that they would no longer be allowed back in the club if they ever tried to come back. Yeah, I'm gonna be changing the system slightly. So I am gonna be still tracking down who is in the club ever. But yeah, I'm gonna be just changing the number of times that people are allowed to enter and exit the club. The reason I'm pointing out this page is so that you understand that you need to have a system for everything. You need to have a system, a method, a procedure for everything that you do in your club for it to be successful. And so speaking of systems, we do have a system for attendance. For January, this is what it was. It was you needed to attend a minimum of 2 practices per week, which would mean that you come to 8 practices per month. And I've been pretty generous because with people in school and people having lives and people, dealing with the pandemic, I was generous with the amount of attendance that you needed to have. So basically, I would write down everyone's names and I would tally how many times they would come to certain practices. So there are multiple ways that my club members can receive attendance credit. So they can primarily attend group practices. Attending a private lesson will also count. Hosting or attending a lesson in Star Stable, either in Discord or just in Global, hosted by somebody else, counts. Going to dressage events hosted by other clubs also counts. And so we have a lot of ways that you can get attendance credit, and I'm, trying to give out multiple ways of doing it so that people can have options. I'm gonna change the system slightly again, but again, the idea of having a system is so that people have expectations. They know exactly what they need to do to be successful in your club. So having a system of attendance like this and tracking attendance very carefully is really important as a club owner. This is what it was for January, and again I have some names here and some tallies, but for February it is going to change slightly. So here's another type of notes that I take. I take notes on individual students' progress. So anytime they have a lesson, I write down what they had done previously. So I wrote down what they did last time, and then I write down what they had learned in this lesson. So for this person, they worked on Millie, Bumble, B Fate, I Fate, and B and I Dodge. And I guess we didn't get to counting steps, but again, it's here as a reference. So anytime they take a lesson, the last time this person took a lesson was last month, I write down just to make sure that I'm not going over things that they already know. So it saves me time because I already know what they previously did so that I can move on to the stuff that they will learn for next time. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you this one page here because I have multiple pages of this list, I guess. So Emerald Hunters is planning on coming out with a full comprehensive tutorial series, and this is how I've laid it out. So basically, chapter 1 is going to be a whole group of fundamental lessons. So chapter 1 is our fundamentals that we use at the Emerald Hunters. The first video is going to be called Before Practice. What do you even do before you step into the arena, before you even log on to the game, before you even, start practice? Here is the next video, is how do you begin your practice? How do you start your practice successfully with the right mindset? I think we need to update the sort of dressage tutorials that are out there and show members that in order to have a successful, professional, high-level dressage practice, there are a lot of things that you need to do before you even start learning the moves, before you even step into the arena. And so that's why I want to make this video series here. Okay, so here's a list of my next journal, my next Star Stable notebook, and I'm going to show you that in a minute, but that's what it was right there. So this is the different sections. You kind of were able to see this entire big thick notebook has information everywhere. It's kind of scattered, so I'm moving into a binder to have different sections of information. So that's just the notes I have here to prepare for my binder. Yeah, so that is my Star Stable notebook, this completed one. And now I'm gonna go ahead and show you my binder. With using a binder, it's a lot more flexible because you can move pages around and you can change the sections and things like that. So I do have some paper in here ready to go, and then I do have these tab dividers here. I have some notes already in here, so I have my February tracker, attendance tracker. Have some more notes about the routine. Ooh, I'll show you this. Okay, so this is just nostalgia, but this set of notes, first of all, the reason why it's in a plastic sleeve is because I wrote these notes in a different notebook that was meant for something else, and then I just ripped out the Star Stable related pages and I stapled them together. So this was the first time I had ever started learning about dressage, and these are my old notes from the old videos that are out there. And it's so funny because, like, at the time, all of these beginner moves fit on one page. And then look, here's the next page, intermediate. Here's the next page, advanced. And so, is there anything else? Yeah, there's like a page and a half almost of advanced moves. But it's just nostalgia because this was the very first time I was learning dressage about a year ago, I think? I'm not sure. But as you can see, I tried to organize it in a way that would make sense to me from the very beginning. And so this was before I even became a club owner. This was the very first time I was learning dressage as like a member in a club, or just learning about dressage in general. This is very nostalgic for me, looking back on these very old notes and seeing and remembering the first time I was learning dressage. So I have these here. I also have some other notes that are part of this packet that I sometimes refer to, so I just keep it around. But yeah, I just have this here to remind me of the very first time I was learning dressage, and, you know, reflecting on how far I've come with learning dressage now. So thank you all for watching this video. Let me know down in the comments if you learned something new today, and please be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on more videos like this. With that being said, I will see you all on my next video. Bye!